We are streaming. How's everyone doing today?
Good, good.
We good? Okay, cool. Let's get started. So the last time we talked about this, I think we, Omar, were you able to figure out the git commit situation? Were you able to push?
Yes, yeah. So the
Cool.
branch is updated, but I didn't create a pull request because I didn't see a verified next to the commit like other commits. I don't know if it's something you need to do for my account or.
Yeah, so it's not me that do it. You're gonna have to follow the steps. So also how to get your account verified. So we had this session with one of the contributors to the standard community, Chris Dutui, and he basically we created this. Let me show you. We created this whole session. Just so you understand, on YouTube, we have two different kinds of videos. There's live streams. You'll see these live streams all the time. And then there's this live tab in here, right? And then there's videos, right? The videos is when I just shoot one video or something that's about a particular topic versus the live streams where you see that kind of all these live sessions like the one that we're doing right now. So if you look into the videos, you'll find a video in here called Getting Verified on GitHub, step by step, right? So let me drop the link here in our chat so for everyone can see it. That's how you get your account verified, right?
Okay,
So
that's good.
it's actually something you have to do on your side, okay? And it's obviously important to get verified and all that. But also the other thing is, let's see here, entity intelligence. There we go. Let's see. The other thing here is that you will notice like all of our commits so far are like that as well. So we already have a, no, that's the issue. Just give me a second here. If I go into the branches and then I go into, this is the user Skylu. So this is the pull request. We basically say foundations, retrieve SQL query. We can open things in draft mode, meaning that it is out there for people to kind of see what we're working on, to kind of keep track with us. You see here the fail, pass kind of pattern, but you will see that some of these, like you see all of these have like the verified next to him. Kylo, I don't know why yours in here. Oh, that's Omar, that's why. Okay. So this green here is, yeah, I see, that makes sense. Okay. So it looks like you pushed it, right? You pushed the passing test, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so do you want to watch me and Kay write the failing one? Hey, Gregory, nice to meet you. So, or do you want to try to write one? What do you want to do?
Last time you mentioned about the client dependency exception if it is thrown. So I took I tried, but I think the concepts of these exceptions, dependency and dependency validation and stuff, I don't know. I tried something. I can show it, but I didn't push it. So
yeah, show us. Yeah. That's the whole point of this.
Yeah.
The journey is more important than the destination. So let's just show me what you got.
Okay, let's see. So the exception that you mentioned is called completion client dependency exception, which is thrown by the OpenAI service, right?
Yes.
So
the OpenAI. So completion client dependency exception. Yeah, and then you threw in some internal in there.
I created like the wrapper around it. I thought I shouldn't need to use the dependency validation exception because it doesn't look like a validation to me.
It's just dependency, yeah.
Yeah, so I created an AI dependency exception.
Good.
Yeah, and the test here it's actually, thank you, Kyle, copy paste, but I changed a few things. Yeah, so basically we get the query and the completion dependency exception here, and we set it up so that it throws it, right?
Yeah.
And we expect that we get ours in return.
Precisely.
Yeah, and
This is all good.
yeah, and basically we just compare that we got what we were expecting, and we have one verification or like
Yep.
one call to this, and it's failing. So I can.
Yeah, that's sweet. Send it over.
Okay.
You're gonna send it over as a fail, and then I'm gonna take it and see what I can do with it from my side. And I think we missed something yesterday that's really important. I think we forgot the localization. We categorized, but we didn't localize, meaning that whatever exception we created for the validation exception, we took the inner, and that's still an external model that we need to fix, right? So let's just see what this one does, and then we'll talk about it shortly. So you already pushed it, so out?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. I'll take it from here. So if I pull, see, usually when I do the sync, I just go to this 0/0 and just say sync all the way from the bottom here. I lit this bottom part just to be the operator. I can switch repos, and Visual Studio does this insane thing now where you can actually work on two different repos that are in the same solution, which is wild. Like you have the same solution, but the projects are two different repos, which is really cool. So yeah, this is your code right here. Let's see here. So this is, let's zoom in. Yeah. So first of all, let's make sure that our setup always goes all the way to the bottom, right? I know we did something like that in here, so that's why the pattern starts to show. But yeah, always the mock setup goes at the bottom. So you're defining things, setting up things, running things, and then validating things. Okay. The other thing that I noticed here, though, is that, see, we took that. First of all, we need to try to avoid as much as possible. We need to try to avoid doing the work that the service is doing. Here, we're doing that work. Instead of doing that, we should put that guy directly in here, like that. If we define that as exception, like that, like this, it's the same thing, right? So we don't even have to do that in here. So basically, this has this inner, but this one will also have this inner. That's our expectation, but we're not doing the work. The business logic is to extract the inner exception from the outer. You know what I mean? If you do the dot inner exception, then you're doing the business logic work. Your test shouldn't be repeating what your business logic function is doing. But what's interesting about this, though, is that in here we did the categorization. Yeah, we did categorization of exception, but we forgot to do the localization, meaning that this is a categorical exception. This is the localized exception. That localized exception is still foreign. It's still external. It still has hard dependency on the library that you're using. It needs to be one extra layer away and abstract, right? That's important. Walaikum salam. Hi, dear. So, Ziyab. So, okay. So let's fix that. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna go over here and say, when this guy comes out like this, then I have a failed AI dependency exception. Sorry, invalid AI exception. Right. So this is new invalid AI exception, something like that. And this AI exception is the one that's going to actually have some validation exception inside of it. But this guy doesn't have that kind of power yet. So we go give it that overload. So public invalid AI query exception. And then you basically go up in here and say, well, actually, this guy takes an inner like this. And that will be generic because that's the, we don't know what this library is going to be throwing. And then here's your inner exception. Pretty much the same message in here as well, except that we're actually passing in a little bit more stuff. So let me go down here, and here's that guy, and then basically I'm passing in the inner exception. And we can't go over 120 characters. This is 110, so we made it right under the wire there. If I go back here, this guy will now be happy, which is great. Does this look better? I guess this one looks, let's do it this way. Yeah, this is better. So this is that, and then this will be your invalid AI exception. So now we localized, we received the original external exception, we unwrapped it. So we took that some validation exception, and that guy should be, that guy shouldn't be some validation, it should be inner validation, because that guy is actually fundamental to this test. We need that guy. Right, so this guy has the inner, we unwrapped it, so we took that inner, we localized with invalid AI query exception, and then we basically sent an invalid AI exception, which is our localized exception in here. Right, so kind of to bring this kind of into focus, let's do this. To bring this back into focus, what really happens with exceptions is that at least in our standardization work, every entity, like if you have a broker and a service, then the service talk into the broker like this, right? We basically, your broker could throw outer outer exception that has an inner exception in it. And we basically take that inner exception and we localize it. So this guy gets localized. Local inner. And this would be local outer. So this way, your dependencies upstream, if they are handling either one of these, they're all working with actually local models, not external, non-owned models. Tell me something. You're like a sphinx. I can't get a reading on you. What? Did you fix your internet?
No,
No.
monopoly in Canada means like you need to wait a week for a technician to come here.
Okay, cool. After the session last time, Omar was saying, Hassan, I'm gonna fix the internet. I was like, okay, this guy's awesome. You know, we're gonna have some fun with this guy. All right, let me do the same thing here. So what do you think here? Then we need another exception in here, right? Can you guess? Like we have another exception here, which would be
the service exception.
No. Still, you didn't localize on this test that you wrote, right? Like this test here is still missing something, right? Because you have your dependency exception.
Yeah.
Right, and that dependency exception has something. Let's say this is an exception, and this is inner dependency exception. Right, so there we go. This guy is not needed. Something is missing here, right? We
So
need
to do the overload in this class, in the new class.
we just need like a failed AI dependency exception, right? Just like we did in invalid, we need something that says localize that exception for us, right? So we would do something like this. Here is this guy will take exception. No, because we don't have we didn't localize, we didn't do anything with it. So message failed AI dependency error occurred. Contact support. So you see, we can't say in here, we can't say fix the errors because they don't know what they are. Like a dependency basically is something, it's not their fault. It's a 500 thing that happened, right? And they can't do anything about it, right? Okay, cool. So in here, the missing piece would be failed AI dependency exception. new failed AI dependency exception. And this guy will take that inner dependency exception that you have, and then this guy here would be this piece. Right, now we have a bunch of failing tests. I saw this the last session, and Gregory's crickets. What are you talking about, Greg? So now let's see why this guy is. Let's see why this guy is actually passing. It concerns me that this guy is passing. So let's see, invalid AI query. We called the dependency, right? So we called this a dependency validation exception. We gave it that part, and this is expected. Interesting. Why is this guy passing? That shouldn't be passing, right? So let's go here. Let's go into the try catch. Completion AI validation exception. And this guy's getting the completion validation exception and taking the inner of that. Why is this guy passing? That guy shouldn't be passing. Are we using the right this is fluent assertions exceptions. Exception assertions. This is right. What happened? Did our library change? Actual AI dependency exception that takes in all of that. Let's put a breakpoint on this guy. That guy should not be passing. The quiet room. Yeah, I know. I know, Gregory. I don't know what. We're just. Okay, let's see. So if I open that up inside the inner exception, this guy doesn't even have an inner exception in it at all. Interesting. So this guy here, AI validation error occurred, fix the errors and try again. So this is throwing that exception and we're catching it. Let's go back a second here. I'll do F11 on this. F11. Did our query even ever run? This might be an interesting finding. So this guy should throw the exception from here. So let's go back here, go back in time, F10. Yeah, so this is the exception that's coming in. And this guy should have an inner exception, which it does. It has like exception with the X in there. And this is just a bunch of stuff in there. Cool. And we are throwing this AI dependency validation exception with the inner exception in it, which is what is the case in here, which is right. So okay, so we're leaving that. That happened. And then there's the retrieve AI task. We said await throws async. And AI dependency validation exception is the expected. Okay. So ultimately, this actual should have an inner exception in it. What about the expected? Does the expected has the inner exception in it? It doesn't. Oh, that is weird. Why? Let's see here. This invalid AI query error occurred. Fix the errors and try again. That is odd. Something odd is happening. Oh, look, it failed. Good. It says it expected the invocation to happen once, but happened 2 times for the broker prompt completion async. Is that because I was stepping slow, so it kind of executed? Let's try this again. Yeah, it is passing. That's wrong. That shouldn't happen. What do you guys think? There must be something in here, right?
Maybe the exception class itself, are we passing the wrong thing? in the constructor there?
Oh, let's see. So this AI dependency validation exception.
Should take inner, right?
That guy never
Yeah.
took inner.
Yeah.
There you go. Good catch.
Hassan,
So
just a note, like when you show this pop-up here, it doesn't show to us because I think you're sharing a window, not the screen.
yeah, I know. If I shared the screen, you guys are not going to be able to see anything. You want to see? So this is my screen. So if I go and share the actual entire screen, that's what you get.
Oh, okay.
Because it's one screen. Do you see that screen behind me? It's
Yeah.
one flat screen, right? So yeah, you're not going to be able to see nothing.
Okay.
So let's go back here. So that's one of the, I guess that's one of the bad things about, having just the 45, 49-inch. Wait till I get the 57. It's going to be very interesting. You truly won't be seeing anything, but they don't have it out yet. So, okay, I could understand. Okay, I could understand this one part. Yeah, I think that is the problem. So that's a catch. So we caught that one. See, when you localize, categorize like that, you'll be able to catch issues like these. Some of these issues is like, how are we even supposed to know something like that is happening? Is it the same thing with our AI dependency? Aha, see?
I believe so, yeah.
Be careful with
Copy paste,
copy
I think.
pasta. Copy pasta, my friend. I
Yeah.
mean, I do like pasta quite a bit. I do like Italian food in general, but that's the wrong kind of pasta to eat in here. So okay, let's see. Where is my test explorer? Let me, kind of pin that in. See, the thing about programming, it'll just keep your brain going. No matter how many times you do something, there will always be, especially when you're doing a new engagement or you're doing something for so long, your brain just starts to skip some details. That's not a good thing. Okay, because I fixed the structure of these tests, Kailu, why don't you you know what to do? So here's two fails. Omar, you'll see us very rarely doing this, but sometimes I'll put two failing tests like these. All right, Kay, go to town. Make it rain.
Okay.
I think it's just this exception and then the service exception. It should be done so. Can we do it in 15 minutes? I don't know. Let's see.
Hassan, while Kailu is working, I have a question about the broker. So I know that the foundation service is kind of a mix, like half red, half green, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's correct.
Yeah, but like in this actually specific example, couldn't we just not use the completion model in the foundation service and make it pure service there?
You could try. Someone is going to have to do that mapping between external models and local models. So who's going to do that job? The
So why not
brokers?
the broker return a string instead of the full model, for example?
Why the broker doesn't return a string instead of the full model? Because the brokers, they don't do mapping. Mapping is business logic, right? Brokers don't carry business logic in them. They are the first point of abstraction, but not the final point of abstraction, right? What that basically means is that your brokers are basically going and saying, hey, whatever dependency on this library or this API, whatever you're using, we're going to do the first step of abstraction, which is routine abstraction, but then foundation services will do the model abstraction. So a lot of people kind of mistakenly think, oh, the brokers are the one and only layer of abstraction. That's not true. Your actual business logic doesn't start until you hit processing services. Your foundation services are trying to look. So let me explain why. Because brokers, not every library you're going to call, you're going to be able to mock. Right? Not every library you're calling, you're going to be able to mock. Like try to mock some of these libraries out there. They're abstract services and abstract clients, and they're just built wrong in general. And that's a problem, right? But so somehow you need to abstract these routines so you're able to test your services, right? But it's not the only step there, the bottom line basically.
Mm-hmm. I thought because it's actually primitive, not like a full model that we own, it should be fine, because string is just a primitive coming back from, but yeah, it's still mapping then, yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right, okay, that's good. So, okay, I just need the service exception, and that should be, this service should be good to go. Omar, get ready. You're gonna make this one pass.
Okay, if you see the internet breaking, just let me know and I'll pass it to you.
Okay, sounds good. So that would be failed AI service exception then. Okay. This should say AI
Yeah.
service error occurred. It should say contact support. Okay. Because it's a service exception, right? So they can't fix errors. There's nothing, no errors that they can fix here. I still need to find a way in our tests where, see, this is kind of a blind spot when we're trying to test stuff because we're testing on strong types, but the messages are somehow not included, and I need the messages to be part of our tests because if the message is wrong, unit test is not going to catch it because we're using the same model. We need to figure out a way to make this not the case. I still need to think about.
Can we use resources instead of like test the resources as strings?
Test resources, like
I mean,
for.
like instead of passing these constant strings here, and we have something to actually compare with in the unit test. We have the resources just as like strings, right? Which we can. I mean, we should,
For the testing.
for the
testing?
messages. For the messages.
For the messages. Try something and show it to us tomorrow in our session. Show me what that would look like. You're gonna have to do a little bit of research because that's what I call standard upgrade. That would change. This is a blind spot. This is truly a blind spot, right? If the message is wrong, or like what you just saw, like if the inner exception is not included, the test will pass, right? So you can actually change some code, and the test will do nothing about it. That's a huge blind spot, right? That we need to cover. See, I just love how this happens all the time. Every time someone new comes into the community, they bring yet just another perspective, right? Which eventually causes the standard, to change and be upgraded. So here's the problem. You see the problem, Omar, right? Like if I go and take away that inner exception piece from the model, everything will still pass. That's wild. That's very wrong. Right? Ideally, some test is supposed to fail, right? If you change anything in your code. I mean, someone might argue, well, if they change anything in the business logic code, which I can understand, but I don't know. It's just a thing that we need to do, you know. Isn't there just one service exception? Oh yeah, I see what you're doing. Okay, never mind. Yeah. Yeah, so you get the idea, Omar. Like a good successful test-driven development would cause some tests to fail if any code changes that's related to the business logic, but that somehow doesn't include the models. Like we could say the exact same thing if you have like a student a student model, and this student model has some optional parameters that can be null, empty, or white space in the string case, for instance, and we literally just take away the entire property from that model, the test is not going to fail. So how do we fix that problem? See, some of the standard work is like grunt work, like we know what to do. Some of it will have you like scratch your head and be like, wait a second, why are we doing it this way? I know this is going to change the standard, what I just talked about, but we need an elegant solution for it. Okay. I don't know if you need the mapping, Kay. I don't think you need it at all in this case. If you highlight as exception with the space behind it and just do control and do Alt Shift period, it'll delete both of them. Yeah, sure. We can do it this way too. Let's do it. Omar, have you ever seen this theory data stuff? It's pretty cool.
The only theory I know is this: what Carlo is writing right now is when we have multiple inputs to test
That's right.
something.
That's
But
right.
yeah, actually, I didn't follow what he was doing before, so yeah.
It's like this is like calculated test cases, right? So Kailu, you still need to pass in the exception in the input parameter for a starter. Could pass it as exception with the XDM. Oh, just a dependency exception or something, AI dependency or something. Yeah, go for it. Okay, why is it still tripping though? Do you need to make your method public static? Yeah, static. So you know how when you're testing multiple cases, Omar, there are hard-coded values like we did with the validation, like we literally put theory data, and then there's these calculated values. So it's inline data, and this one here is calculated, like you have to construct something and run something before you pass this over. It's pretty wild. It's very strong. It's a very strong idea.
Interesting, yeah.
Mm-hmm. There you go. What do you think, Omar? Do you want to take a jab and make this one pass?
I'll try.
Let's go.
I think the adrenaline rush is going through me, but after this, I think I'll just be a fly in the wall because I need to like learn a lot of the things you're doing.
Let me do this one, right?
Okay.
And then just watch us see what would watch and see, shadow us. Usually, like I'm not really like I know some people learn in different ways. Like some people learn by watching, some people learn by doing. There's nothing wrong with just looking and watching for a while. I have no problem with that. But people learn differently. Some people learn by chaos. They learn by breaking things, right? They don't learn by watching. They don't learn by reading. They like just to break things.
I
So,
actually learned like that, but not on on a stream.
not on a live stream. It's
Yeah.
totally understandable. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here it is. So I have this one failing test. This guy's still kind of picking up, trying to understand, but it's actually a legitimate failing test in here. So I'll just go here and retrieve the query and then go down here. Let's see here, okay. So you're on the try catch. Probably one more of these. So if I go like like that, Control D, and then take the service exception, something like that. Okay. Watch this, Omar. If you do Alt-Shift period, it will find all the dependency words in your code, and I can turn that into service like that.
Nice.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
But the only problem here is that this guy actually is not a service exception. It's still a dependency exception. But yeah, we're like, we're, so this is AI, and yeah, that the only difference is that this is not the right case for it. But yeah, this is definitely a. So let's see, why is this guy complaining? Failed AI. This guy goes here. Yeah, that should make it pass, I think. Let's go back to this test. Let's run this. Yeah, both are happy now. Great. Now we just need one last test for this one, K, right? That's the service part, I think. So I'm gonna write the failing test. You're gonna make it pass, and we're gonna call it a night. What do you think about that? Pretty quickly, huh?
Mhm.
That's the one when we catch a general exception, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna I'm gonna even spell it out loud just for you to see. Usually we would copy pasta this one, but we can do it here. Task should throw throw service exception on retrieve if service error occurred async given when then and then here's our just a service exception. This isn't just a new exception like this, right? And then var failed AI service exception, which will mean new failed AI service exception. There you go. I don't know why I put that space in there. And then var expected AI service exception, new AI service exception, which will take that failed one like that. And then we need to fake the error, right? So I'm gonna go here and say string some AI query, some natural query. So get random string in here, cool. And then I'm gonna go down here and say this dot broker. So this is our error broker setup, and broker, come on, broker dot retrieve prompt. And we're basically saying it is any completion because we don't care really what gets generated underneath. Either way, throw asynchronously and a service exception. There's like memory leakage, there's like the catch-all of everything, right? And then the rest of this is basically the same. The only difference is that we're changing from dependency to service like that. There you go. Like that, and that's your expected AI service exception. This is anything here that says dependency, I can change to service like that. Done. So this is actual expected, boom, bam. That's all good. Run this. There you go. And here's the failing. Yeah, this is a legitimate failure. All right, Kay, take it home. Let's grade a PR and wrap it up.
Okay.
There you go.
Hassan, one question, might be very trivial.
Yeah.
The way you wrap the exception again, like
Mm,
in my mind, okay, we have a local exception that it will be propagated to the upper services, right? In this case, AI dependency exception. You did another one below it, which is ours as well, the failed AI service exception, right?
yeah.
Just can you all comment again on that
Yeah.
one? Yeah.
Yeah. So the exception that I created, that first exception that I created, that's actually external. It's coming from anywhere. That's like memory leakage exception or whatever. The one catch-all for it is just the generic exception with the E, right? That's the one that I called service exception at the very top, right? That's external. It's still external. Even though we instantiated it, It's still external because it's coming from your infrastructure, right? It's not coming from your library, right? So in this case, we need to kind of localize that. We need to put a language on it. So what's the language? Is that this service, this particular service is failing because of whatever else that we couldn't cover in any of these exceptions that we handled before, which is completely outside of our scope. Like there's no way for us to know how many exceptions that could occur there, right? So you'll always see external. We either extract the inner of that external or actually take the external itself in that service case, localize, categorize, throw.
Interesting. Yeah.
This way, your upstream services can't say if inner exception is exception, the generic one. No, they can actually dig deeper and say, no, make different decisions based on the localized exception, right? Okay, it looks like Kay already did the part. Kylo, I'll take your screen here. Let's see, what am I doing here? I need to create an actual pull request. So entity.
Turn that draft into
we just need we need to just that's right. So this is ready to review, right? We'll wait a second here, and I mean you just ran it locally, so it should be okay. But this is basically, you see how Omar, the order here of our commit history really reflects, like, see, fail, pass, and then fail, and this is going to be an X, and then this is going to be a pass. So you can see that reflected in our commit history as we go, right? Anyway, the last thing I want to do here is basically go and say closes, and then here's a hash, and then I want to say retrieve SQL query. So that will close that one issue that we have open. So I'm just going to say merge pull request because we already built it. And that's it for tonight. What do you think? You do that a couple of thousand times, and then you never have to talk about it anymore. It's very simple.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the 1999.
I promise you, if I told you that Kailu did this over 2,000 times, it's not an exaggeration. I promise you. But anyway, so Kailu, tomorrow we do the processing, or should we start? Let's jump to the other side. Let's do the SQL broker. What do you think about that? We can use Dapper or Entity Framework or something.
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's do the hard part first.
Sounds good. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure hanging out with the two of you tonight, and thanks for everyone that's been watching us today. And I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.